Are you tired of all the dating games, rules, and societal norms that make falling in love confusing and stressful?
Then join us as we ditch the script and empower you to establish healthy, conscious relationships.
This weekly podcast breaks down popular dating reality television and educates you on healthy versus toxic dating habits.
I'm Brianna, a licensed therapist.
And I'm Alex, a trauma-informed and certified narcissist recovery coach.
Are you ready to ditch the script?
Oh my God.
I love it. 30 seconds is dead and gone.
When you're having fun, bitch.
I
yes,
know.
it is.
Yeah, that was a chaotic silent intro on our part.
Well, and this is going to be a chaotic episode.
It's chaotic.
You guys, if you listen to our previous episode, we had some tech difficulties that cut our episode real short, and it was kind of rude, Riverside.
Oh my God. Our recording software absolutely shit the bed. And basically what we were left with is an audio file that started out in sync. You know, Alex's track
was great at first.
Yeah, is laid right on top of mine, like in bed as they should be. And then eventually we start overlapping each other, and it's like the whole rest of our recorded session is just, it's like
a cacophony of voices.
Oh my, thank you. That's such a beautiful way to describe what a chaotic, absolute mess it was. And
it really was.
We had to make some hard decisions because Alex and I are both working
real busy.
What we do here. So we weren't able to come back together and re-record that and have that out for you with the quickness. So we had to make some tough decisions, and it took a couple of days to figure out what we wanted to do. Honestly, I was grieving.
It was sad. There is nothing like getting on here and finishing an episode with you and feeling like that episode is so good, so valuable, so fun. And then only to download the files later to put them together and discover that it was not okay. It wasn't salvageable even. And so even with our independent audio track, it was a hot mess. So yeah, we did what we did, which was chopped it short. And now today we're going to recap some of the stuff that was cut out, sadly.
Yeah.
The pivotal cutie scene between Cole and Zanab.
Right.
But we'll get to there in a minute. First, how are you? How's your life besides the cacophony of voices?
I am good. There's going to be one thing that's true about today is I'm going to look like shit.
I don't look like shit at all.
That's so kind.
I really don't.
Wow. Thank you.
I think you look like you're at home chilling, and that's not shit.
I respectfully disagree, but respectfully.
That's fine. That's okay. Yeah. You're allowed to think that you look like shit, even though I don't think you look like shit. Thank you. And vice versa, because I know that shit happens all the time.
Yeah, that's so true. I wanted to tell you a quick story and get your thoughts on it and share it with the world.
I love story time. Let's go.
Me too. I love telling. So, it's cozy on in. So Friday night, and I just got paid. I think that you were singing a different song, and then I started to sing the very popular
other song. That's okay.
NSYNC song, Just Got Paid, but that's okay. That's why we're friends, because we're allowed to have different ideas that meant
yeah,
together.
We are.
It was Friday night.
Friday night.
And I went to the dog bar. And I don't know if I've talked about the dog bar here on
you haven't
on the podcast, but I'll share it with everyone. So the dog bar, there's this place called BRK Republic. It's like an acronym for bark, but that's not anyway, not important. It's on Clematis Street in West Palm. And you go there, and it's like a tap room of beer, and your dogs can roam without a leash. And yeah, it's awesome.
Jax
Dogs love
it.
it. Yeah, Jax would love it. Tucker loves it. He lives for it. Gets all excited. I love it because I don't have to have him tethered to me while I'm just trying to hang out. And it's been socially for me a really great place to just meet lots of people. I haven't every time I go there, I'm comfortable being there alone because I do have my dog there and he's entertaining and you know, but I have never sat there silently. Like I'm always in conversation with someone. So it's been really good for me just trying to like network and get out here in these streets. But the bartender that works there is really cute. He's really fucking cute. Yeah. And so the first time I noticed it, I was like, oh, he's cute. And then it was just every time I returned, when I made sure I was like, okay, I'm going to look cute, which has been good. It's made me feel like there's a purpose for getting ready. There's a purpose for leaving the house. I feel good before I leave. It's been good for my mojo.
Yeah. Love it.
And every time I go there, it's just me progressively trying to like casually flirt with this bartender because we have banter.
Love good banter.
I love good banter. And then, so now we've developed a little bit of a casual friendship because we see each other a lot. Love that. So great. Yeah. It's really comforting. It's really nice. And then I was there on Friday and he's talking to me and he said that he took a trip. All of a sudden he starts telling me about how he just got back together with his ex-girlfriend.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. And he's like really excited about it. And he just keeps telling me, okay, exactly what you're doing right now is who I became. So you're me. You're me.
Have to watch our YouTube channel to get the full effect.
Yeah, you're me. I want you to be me for a moment, or rather, let's flip it around. You tell me how, like, you're getting back together with your ex-girlfriend. Everyone is in support of it. Like, it's awesome. Yeah. Tell me about that.
I'm getting together with my ex-girlfriend. Everyone's in support of it. Everyone loves us together. We're such a vibe. I'm not quite sure why we split up to begin with. And, you know, I'm just so happy that we're rekindling this relationship. Yeah. And yeah, it's been pretty great. And I'm excited to see where it continues to go.
Oh my gosh. You know, I can tell you're excited. I can tell you're really
I really
excited.
am. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Oh my God. You know, that's really interesting. Like, you know, not everyone feels like exes can get back together, but I you know, I think you can when you like, you figure your shit out, you figure out what wasn't working, you get back to, I'm like fully therapizing. Totally. And
you just flip there. I so get this. You just go there. You're like,
okay. I went there and I went there in a total defense mechanism because I was trying to shut off my like sad emotions. Yeah. It was freaky. It was kind of freaky. First of all, I was like, why the fuck are you telling me this? I know that we're friends, but we're not really friends. I've been flirting with you for like 2 months. What do you mean? You can tell me this. We're dating.
Yeah.
We're not.
It feels like it. Yeah. This is a committed conversational dating relationship.
So weird. Why would you tell me about this girl that you're seeing again when we're already in a relationship? And he was just like, he just kept going on. And I hadn't asked a single question about it. And I just, you know, I switched because I went to a place where I was like, oh, I don't love how I feel right now, but I also know that like I'm allowed to be emotional about this or have a feeling, but like I don't need to live with this at the surface right now. So I'm going to just let myself I'm going to let myself have complicated feelings about it later.
Yes.
But right now, what am I going to do? I'm going to switch into supportive BFF, provider
therapist mode.
Yeah. I was just like, that's so cool. That's so cool. And he's like, yeah, you know, my friends, they saw us together. They're like, wow, the chemistry. I was like, gosh, that's hard to come by. And I'm really happy for the both of you. That's really good. Good luck. And then I was like, all right,
sorry,
it's okay. I was like, listen, could you help me close out? I gotta go.
On that note, can you close my tab? And I'm never coming back here, bitch.
On that note, close me out, please. Give me my credit card back, and I'll be seeing you around.
Never.
Ta-ta. Yeah, no, it's fine. It's like, to me, it's also been, it's like a good experience of like internal rejection. And it's good to like move through that feeling a little bit and be like, that's okay.
Yeah.
Timing,
100%.
babe. Timing.
Timing. Yeah.
I heard someone online on the internet say something about men and like them being ready for a relationship has so much more to do with like who's in front of them at the particular moment. What do you think?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. Okay, because
Okay, what do you think?
here, like, I think that it's a case by case basis. I think there are people, and like, I don't even want to use men, but like, there are people out there
People.
that are stuck in their shit until they meet someone that they're really all about, and then they decide to get their shit together. Sure, I'm sure that happens. And there
I've
are
seen
so
that
many
before. Mm-hmm.
people out there that can meet someone, have a wonderful relationship, and they're so ignorant of how their own unresolved stuff contributes to their reality that they are so stuck in like blaming, and they will eject out of the relationship even though that relationship was wonderful. And so it's like, I don't think there's a hard and fast rule for it by gender or by time or age or anything. I really just think people are fucking people, and the ones who want to commit and the ones who want healthy conscious relationships and the ones who give a shit about how they contribute to their own reality, like, they will do the work, and the ones who don't. And sometimes the ones who don't have a come to Jesus moment, and I'm not talking literal religious type moment, but like maybe that's meeting an amazing person, maybe that's a near death experience, maybe that's God knows what, you know? And then they're like, ta-da, I'm gonna work on myself. I don't know.
The stars align.
I do think a lot of people naively get back together with exes. Been there, done that myself in the past. And I'm not talking about my most recent ex at all.
No, it
I'm talking
happens.
about before that.
It's tempting because there's familiarity there, and it's especially if you're reconnecting if you're reconnecting in a positive vibrational energy, it's easy to sort of disregard the things that
went
cause
awry,
the relationship to split up. And so it's easy to sort of just be like, but this is my person, or like, this is like, of course we have to give this another shot. It's worth it. And I think that will always lead to the same outcome, which is
agreed.
You navigating a breakup unless you get therapy and you talk about it with a provider and you work through it as you're together. But really, like, us reconnecting with our exes is not always, it very much can be an option. And I want to like reduce the taboo-ness of like, exes should never get back together. But the two of you have to be clear. This is what I was telling the bartender. The two of you have to be clear on what went wrong and be on the same page about working on those things as a team.
Yeah. I think that's the part that a lot of people skip. It's not that, like, the whole saying like exes are exes for a reason, I think is really emotionally immature, if I'm being honest. I don't think that's a legitimate belief to stand behind. But the thing that same thing, I always tell people who ask me, like, we broke up, but now we're like kind of reconnecting. It's like the question you both need to sit with is, what's going to be different this time? What went wrong last time? How have we changed since then? How are we going to contribute to this relationship in a different way that we haven't contributed to it before? And then, but a lot of people are too scared to have that conversation because they feel if we just ignore the bad stuff, it won't exist, right? And it's actually quite the opposite. If you ignore the bad stuff, you're guaranteeing it's going to come up again. It's going to come up again. So, yeah, I hope Bark Republic bartender boy has had those conversations. Wish you all the best, buddy.
Yeah, we wish you happiness.
And you missed out on the dopest therapist ever sitting right in front of you, moron. Okay, love you, long time.
You big fucking stupid idiot. Yeah.
Okay, I have a question, but I'll ask you after. No, say what you're going to say.
We're
departing from this topic.
Yeah. Okay, what were you going to ask me?
Okay, because I've noticed this in my own friend life, and I'm, if I'm being honest, it kind of pisses me off a little bit. But I want to talk to you about it.
What are we angry about?
Okay, so as someone who is in the mental health space and talks about regulating your nervous system and exiting your survival response and healing and triggers and all that, I have found that there are a few people in my life, let's say acquaintances, I don't know if I would say they're friendships, because I feel like the people I have friendships with don't look at me in this lens. But people who are acquaintances of mine feel
Yeah.
like because I'm in this industry, I should be perfect. And that if I'm triggered or that if I'm experiencing something or if I want to be like, that person's being a moron, that I am bad or like wrong or,
Yeah.
you know, not the best practitioner type.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? So my point
Yeah.
is like, I think there's this belief system that therapists, coaches, like are on this pedestal, and it's bullshit.
Yeah.
We're humans. We're
Yes.
humans. We have
Yeah.
survival responses. We have triggers, and we're allowed to be upset. And if we want to call
Yeah.
someone a moron in the moment, we're allowed to do that. By the way, I don't really
Yeah.
mean it about this person. I'm trying to be playful, but I'm just curious to know, like,
Yeah.
how do you experience that and how do you handle it? Because I haven't confronted anyone. I just kind of keep them at an arm's length, but there is sometimes a part of me that's like, I'm allowed to be human. Like, I want to have that conversation.
Yeah, I love that conversation. I think it's a really important one because I even would extend that to people who want to be in a healing space in their own lives and are maybe learning from their coaches or their therapists or their providers. Get to a place where they feel like in order to be in that process, they too have to be perfect and never be triggered and never have a maladaptive coping skill. Because what I feel, yeah, exactly. I don't feel, okay. So to answer your question directly, I haven't had so many experiences where people were like, but I thought that you know, were better than this, essentially. Like, I thought that you like weren't going to, react that way. I've had less of that. I think if anything, I put that on myself privately when I am emotionally processing things, and I can get like, if I feel really strongly about something, I might have a quick thought that's like, that's unfair. That's unkind to that person. So my work has been allowing myself to actually have a little breathing room to be a human being, to express it, to feel it, to go up, to then come down. And as long as I engage in that process in a way that is not hurting and being put on other people, it's one thing to ask for help, but to like take it out on other people is what I'm talking about. Then I'm allowed to have a big range of feelings and emotions. And I can even call someone a fucking asshole in my head. So yeah. And I want people to feel like that's the other thing. I'll have clients that will be like, you're not going to like this, when they're about to tell me a thing that they did that was like kind of off the wagon of their healing.
And you're like, no judgment. Let's hear it.
Yeah. Give me everything. Tell me all of it.
Yeah. I feel like I find, because I think the reason, and I really feel acquaintances is a good name for it, because when I sense that judgment, I have my own emotional boundaries with them. So I start to not be able to be like, I'm having a hard day, because it's like, if I admit that, this person's going to be like, aren't you in the mental health industry? Why are you having a bad day? Like, that's the judgment I get. So I stop talking to them like I would talk to you, because it's like, again, and so it's really frustrating. And I just want to say, like, for anyone out there that might have that idea that therapists or coaches have our lives completely together, in the sense that like we don't deal with these emotions, it's so not true. Or like we don't have hard days, it's not true. We have tools, and yes, of course. And by the way, I'm still learning, growing, and healing all the time. And it's like, I have my own people to go to, like, meaning like I have my own therapist I go to. But I find for me, like with developing certain friendships, like even if I try and I get that and that comes up, it's like such a turn off for me that I'm like, boundaries, like emotional boundaries, like for myself. I don't communicate them. I'm just like, noted, this person won't hold space for me because of this lens that they're looking at me through. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, yeah.
Did you have anything like that came through the airwaves after, like, you work in at the time you were working in a broader like dating and relationship sphere, and now you really like honed in on your practice and really like found your niche. But when you had made any sort of indication online about your breakup, did you get any kind of like, but what the fuck type of response?
No. I got one client who was like, if you guys can't make it, who can?
Sorry, that was such a guttural. emphatic, like that's intense.
I
That's a
got
lot
one.
it just feels like pressure.
Yeah, it did feel like pressure. Of coming out. What I meant by that was like
Yeah.
admitting, and like when I got to a place to where I was like, okay, now I need to publicly announce this.
Right.
Yeah, that was the pressure, is as I'm
Right.
like, how many people are gonna, feel that way or think that way. The people who
We
have
only
said it
have
to
a
my face
confirmed.
was one. Yeah.
Just confirmed
Whereas
one.
I had several other people saying, thank you for leading by example and like practicing
Nice.
what you preach, which
Great.
is true. Because,
Great.
yeah, like, man, for those of you out there who watch other people's really, and I freaking get it, because I've had some couples that I've looked up to in my life, and when one of them, friend of mine, got divorced over quarantine, and it like, I was like, what, how, you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Right.
First of all, I get it, and we're humans too, and it takes two to tango, and there's nothing that one person can do in a relationship to make it work for both people. Like, it's just, so yeah, but that's it. Just the one.
Yeah.
Just the
Yeah.
one.
No, I think what I want people to kind of keep in mind is that like it's very human for us to get invested in the relationships that we see on social media. And it is like, well, maybe sometimes we're like, oh wow, they presented themselves as a really happy and satisfied couple. So I'm really surprised that they broke up. Like, yeah, no shit. They weren't gonna get on Instagram and publicly talk about their shit. Like it's
Yeah.
not an appropriate space to deal with their issues. Like and every couple and every person has their issues. So it's like they need to go deal with that otherwise. And they don't owe you a window into that experience. Right.
Yeah.
So I think that when we are surprised, that's human. And
Yeah.
also, let's pull the veil back a little bit and be able to normalize and say, one, I may never know everything that I wish to know about this couple that's breaking up, this like
Yeah.
Instagram couple that I like, that I follow,
Admire.
that I feel invested in, that
Mm-hmm.
I idolize because of what they talk about their practices or their lifestyle or how they split up chores or whatever. Um, we're not entitled to that information. And also like, yeah, they're going to be people. They're going to be people are going to be people.
Yeah. Yeah. For real. So, yeah, the end. What are we talking about
Interesting.
next?
Okay. Let's catch up with where we left off in our reunion, which is going to be Cole and Zanab. So in our last episode, we were starting to talk about their wedding and how it did not actually lead to a wedded bliss. But what we really want to go into is how the reunion played out. So
Yeah.
obviously we had mentioned a little bit about the attention that Cole got from the pool party scene as the whole cast was watching back. But what we didn't get a chance to cover, what we did, but Riverside wouldn't allow us to cover,
Yeah.
is like how the group
Yeah.
and Zanab and Cole were all feeling following the show's wrap.
Very.
And
Yeah.
it was a lot. And so we'll get into it, but there's a specific aforementioned cutie scene. And the
Dun, dun,
cutie
dun.
scene is essentially like they go back and forth. It's a very he said, she said display at the reunion of Zanab is like, Cole would watch what I was eating. He would make comments about what I was eating. He would make comments about my body. And Cole was like, what are you talking about? I don't know what you're saying. That's so weird. I would never do that. I have no intentions of doing that. And then Zanab was like, but there was the cuties, like, and it was very back and forth. No, like they both felt really very certain about their lens, which is
Right.
This is what happens in these situations. But
Yep.
the rest of the girls in the group really had Zanab's back, being like, what the fuck? How dare you? How dare you make comments? Like this is clearly an issue that you have that you need to fix. So we wanted to talk about that because we do get to see the scene, which is fucking crazy.
Yeah. So, well, Cole during the reunion says, if you have it, air it. He tells them, if you have this infamous cutie scene, please play it. So he gives them permission because because in my mind, Cole is so adamant about, I wouldn't talk to you that way. I wouldn't treat you that way. So he's throwing that out there because he's out of self-defense. And he clearly wants to see it for himself. And honestly, I'm glad they did play it because it made me kind of go, oof, all right. So we have more than just Cole's words at action, like at play here. Yeah, it was mind blowing. And I think that this goes to show two things. One, how our own unresolved wounds become the lenses with which we hear and interpret and perceive every interaction we have. And two, projection is something that we do way too often without realizing it. You know, I think a lot of what Zay was trying to tell, Cole was making comments about this, he's watching what I eat, is really Zay watching what she's eating, and you know what I mean? And like being that OCD about it, but she doesn't realize she's doing it to herself. So I'm excited to kind of peel back the layers again so we can share, you know, and really educate, because this is important. This conversation is so important. And if you watched the reunion a while ago, go back and watch it again and really like look at it from the different aspects that Brie and I are going to bring up, because boy, oh boy.
I wish I had watched it again before we.
We're gonna hit pause on this recording and go watch it real quick.
Yeah. Well, to me, it really struck a chord because it feels a very nuanced issue. So yeah, Zanab, it's very clear throughout the entire show of what we get to see of Cole and Zanab is that the two of them really, truly, by definition, bring out the worst in one another. They both, like, their insecurities, their anxiety, their stress, their irritability all comes right up to the surface while they continue to try to make their relationship work. So I'm not surprised that something like this manifested. I just really didn't appreciate how it was dealt with and addressed. So Zanab at the reunion, Zanab was just, it was interesting because she was putting a lot on him to say, you know, your comments to me made me feel so bad that I didn't eat a lot while we were filming. And I felt for her in this moment because it made me sad that she felt that way. And truly what I do hope that Cole learns from this is that you really shouldn't be making any comments about someone's body or what they're eating or anything. Again, we've said this 1 million times. We're going to say it again. Cole's a certified fucking idiot. He doesn't know this shit. It's not an excuse, but if that's something that he didn't know yet, then hopefully this is how he learns that you don't make comments about people's food or body or whatever. But what I also understood is that like Zanab has a relationship with this restrictive behavior that has existed long before she met Cole. This behavior, this relationship to food and her relationship to her body, which is also not her fault. This is something that she was probably like coped with, conditioned by, like all of the ways in which we as women with bodies are conditioned to see the cause of our issues in being that we are not enough. We do not look enough. We do not fit enough. We are not enough in all of these ways. And so we put that emphasis and that focus on our bodies, and just imagine if I was thinner, I wouldn't feel this way in my relationship. If I was thinner, I would have different kinds of, you know, options for partners. And if I was thinner, maybe I wouldn't go, you know, it's just all of this noise. And I think it's very clear that she was like living with that. And maybe she had made this connection that if she would eat less, lose weight, then Cole's comments would stop. And I want people to know that, like, I felt that it was just super weird to put this on Cole as him being the bearer of the responsibility for like the way in which she takes care and attacks her own body. Yeah.
Yeah. at the reunion, it felt like Zay really wanted Cole to apologize and take ownership for how he was speaking to her. And the reality is that's really hard for someone to do when that isn't their intent in what they are stating. And I think that was the disconnect for Cole, is that he wasn't intending to make her feel, for lack of a better way to put it, fat shamed. Like, he wasn't going about that. Like, he wasn't trying to, in the cutie scene that we end up seeing at the end of this episode, you know, not a word came out of his mouth that was derogatory or implicative in that way. Like, when you see the tone, honestly, it felt like watching a very tall 12-year-old, like, in a kitchen trying to have a snack time. Like, that's what it felt like. He was just kind of chit-chatting and saying things, but it wasn't. And then when Zay finally said, I've only had a banana and something else today, he actually then it becomes concerned, like, why is that all you've eaten? Right. And so this is why I'm saying, like, when she's trying to hold Cole accountable for hurting her feelings with what he said, it's hard for him to take that responsibility when quite literally that wasn't his intent. She's putting that intent onto him because of her own insecurities. And so this is something that's like, in relationships, we have communication breakdowns all the time. And a lot of time it's because we're so focused on what was said instead of the feelings that it made us feel. And so I just wish, like, if Zay could be like, look, I understand if this wasn't your intent, but when you made comments like, we have a big dinner tonight, are you sure you want to eat both of those cuties? My brain hears that and thinks you're low-key trying to hint, like, maybe you should save your appetite for later so you don't overeat. And, you know, this is something I've been working on with myself. And that would have created space for Cole to be like, well, I didn't mean it like that. And I'm really sorry. Like, you're beautiful. But instead it was so accusatory. And guys, when we start accusing people of things, it's not going to get us anywhere, because our logical brain shuts off. We literally can't articulate words for some people. This part of the brain that's in charge of speech will go offline too. Like, our ear bones close up. Like, there's so much science that shows the second we get defensive, the communication's not going to happen. But when we can actually come forward and say, this is how I was feeling, instead of this is what you did, we can allow for space to actually get to an end result. And these two neither of them had those skills, Zay nor Cole. So,
we were already seeing so many examples of how the two of them didn't feel safe to be themselves in their relationship.
Or to communicate.
This was another example of both of those things, because when Cole points out, he was like, wait, you've only eaten a banana and peanut butter. Like, why are you doing that? Zanab says, you know, I could tell you, but I really shouldn't. And Cole kind of missed that because, like you said, like 12-year-old brain, like the two of them are not really listening to each other, and they both miss an opportunity to explore and expand, to be like, oh, that's actually really concerning. Like, no, tell me about that. Like, what's going on? And for Zanab, like, I guess I want to make an example out of this because I want people to feel like if your partner doesn't know how they are triggering you, which is what's happening here, this is how you can try to tell them. You know, you can let them know. You can start by saying, like, listen, this is hard for me to say because I don't really know how this is going to get explored between the two of us. And this is sensitive for me, and I also don't think that you're trying to do this on purpose. So if you could just hear me out, this feels really important. But when you make some sort of comment or an observation about what I'm eating or what I'm doing with my body, in Cole's words, like in preparation of like wedding look, it makes me feel blank YZ, you know, observation, and then express your thought through a feeling, right? Express what the thoughts are and how they make you feel, you know, and so that Cole could hear that. And hopefully what we would hope that he would do, instead of just defending himself, which he may also be likely to do, is to say, wow, I had no idea. I had no idea. I really don't want to do that. I'm really sorry. That's been happening every time I make like, oh shit. Like, that's what we hope that the response is. But if you never give your partner an opportunity to do that, you're constantly setting them up for failure. So it's not Zanab's fault for feeling the way that she feels in these tender moments where she's being, where these observations are being made. Cole is an asshole. And he's quite careless with how he makes observations. And Cole is not a mind reader, and he's still getting to know you, and he doesn't know what are your hot buttons and what are your triggers and what makes you feel good and what makes you feel safe, because the two of you are having a really hard time figuring out how to talk to each other about that.
Yeah. Yeah. The more that I analyze relationships, the more I realize that they get challenging for two reasons. One, you need to be able to understand and acknowledge your own emotions and where those emotions are coming from, which a lot of people struggle just there. And then two, you have to communicate that with your partner, which a lot of people don't feel they should need to do that, because we always assume that our partner would treat us the way that we would treat them. It's like, but that's not the case, right? So it's like Zay is sitting there hearing these things and assuming malicious intent on Cole's part because Zay wouldn't talk that way to her partner. And so she's projecting this maliciousness onto Cole out of self-protection, right? Because of how she's feeling. But that's not Cole's intent at all. And so instead of being able to label the emotions that she's feeling, explain where that's coming from, how that's impacting her, she sits in keeping her mouth shut so that she can continue to feel this way, cross her fingers, hope that in time it's just going to stop, because she doesn't feel comfortable communicating what she's actually experiencing with her partner. And then they wonder why relationships fail. This is why. If we're never going to be able to sustain a long-term relationship if we can't hold space for our own emotions, acknowledge where they're coming from, understand why they're coming from that place to begin with, and then two, communicate that and have our partner be on our team instead of the opposing team. You know what I mean?
Right. Mm-hmm.
It's really disheartening when you think about it, because it's like relationships are hard and the skills to make them work are very accessible if you practice them.
Right.
But that's the point, is a lot of people don't show up to practice.
Yeah. Or they withhold that information and they expect their partner to be able to figure it out. But if there is not some sort of collaborative effort to help one another understand where your common communication breakdowns happen in your relationship, it will always be pretty challenging to be able to feel like, to really be able to pinpoint where's the disconnect here. But if you have had any experience actually trying this out in any relationships that you have, it could be romantic, it could be platonic, it could be work relationships, whatever it is, when you find when you find the moment where you're like, oh my God, I had no idea, but that makes so much sense why you feel that way. I didn't know that, but that's really helpful for me to know. And vice versa. You help that other person figure out where they missed the mark on you. And then all of a sudden figuring out how to move away from those moments and navigate those tensioned moments differently seems a lot clearer. But if there's only this, well, they should already know. They should know that doesn't make me feel good, because I like every time they do it, I respond by saying nothing and giving them the cold shoulder. How in the fuck is that going to be clear for anyone?
It's not. And then people parent that way. Hoy.
Mm-hmm.
It's bad.
Boy. These are things, I think, to your point, but like these are skills that you can learn. No one has to be an expert in this. And as we were saying earlier, we are also forever students of learning how to effectively communicate in our own lives, in our own relationships still. And it's a skill that we can continue to build upon and continue to grow. So it is okay if you don't know how to do this, but you will need this if you want your relationships to get as far as they can.
And then it makes me, if I'm getting real honest and transparent here on our show, it makes me kind of livid, because it's like, we're stuck in school our entire life from the age of approximately 5 to 18. And we learn about Pythagorean theorem and the golden triangle or whatever the fuck that situation is. And, and it's like, but we don't know how to make I statements. I'm just like, why in high school or in college there's not like a mandatory communications class? And I'm not talking communications like a major.
They should really, they should replace some of the curriculum. Like, I was going to say home ec because it's so gendered, but I also know that my home ec class was not just specifically for like the other girls in my cohort. There were men in my class too, and it was helpful to learn how to sew, and it was helpful to like learn how to cook there. So those skills are actually valuable, but we need an additional emotional intelligence course.
Yeah, we do. Thank you.
That could be so helpful, because think about how helpful it would be to help validate kids at their particular developmental stage to learn like Erickson's developmental, like life development
and
model.
How important and amazing would it be to equip young girls who are potentially being sexually pressured to feel confident about saying no and stating boundaries.
Communication. Yeah.
But we don't have any of that right now, at least hopefully in the future. Because honestly, it's because high school version of Alex really needed it.
Me too. Desperately. I needed it desperately, and it wasn't included. Listen, ditch the script for president 2024.
Actually, if I'm being super honest, when we first started the show, I don't know if you remember me saying this, but like big picture scary dream would be to have like a traveling educational program.
Yeah, I would love that.
Me too. Because like I just care about this work so much. Sorry.
Yeah.
We're not going to get emotional today, but man, it's necessary. It's very Nessa.
It's very Nessa. That's the
Who's next?
Scene.
Nancy and Bartise.
Oh yeah, I forgot about them.
Oh my God. Understandably
I forgot about them. No, I was really gonna have cuties like close us out. I fucking forgot about Nancy Bartise. Alex told me, she goes, I don't know what we're doing on this show today, because we're in a bit of a chaotic state, as we should be, except as we are.
We're so chaotic.
We are wherever we are. No apologies. And I told her, I said, get in the airplane. You don't know where you're going, but I've got you. I'm your seatbelt. And then I unclipped the seatbelt and I said,
thank God I had a
parachute.
Got my parachute and we pulled the string.
Okay. So, Nancy and Bartise. Okay. We'd already covered the fallout of their wedding.
The families hating each other. Yeah.
Yeah. The reunion. I was grateful. I was grateful that that Bartise didn't fully get away with his advances towards Raven while they were in the getaway stage of the show.
Me too. Like, I'm so proud of SK for being like, bro, we were having a bro convo and then you're going to go and talk like that to my girl? Like, really? Like, that's not friendship. Yeah. And I'm like, hell yes. And I said this last week. I'm going to freaking say it again because the universe provided an opportunity for me to pay attention to not only pay attention to the people that you're dating, right? Not only how they treat hostesses and janitors, but how they treat their friends, right? Like if you see them gossiping about their friends, if you see them bailing on their friends, if you see them doing things like that, it's only a matter of time until they most likely start treating you that way, because people are who they are. And the way we do one thing is commonly how we do a lot of things. And so, yeah, the way that Bartise treated SK, a guy who he shared the men's lounge with for X amount of days. They dated similar, what they talked about the women they were dating. They talked about their experiences. And then behind his back, he's trying to swoop in on his girl. I felt SK, again, just going to say it again, king, because he so calmly stated it unemotionally, was like, that's not friendship to me. He wasn't going to punch him in the face. He didn't escalate. He just was like, facts. That's not okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
SK did not deserve it at all. What a wonderful man.
No. And neither did Raven, and neither did Nancy.
No.
I think that Bartise, like, in a really like true 25-year-old fashion, was just continuing to survey his options. And like, I don't know what else to call it, because he was trying to make something work with Nancy. At the time, you know, they just really met in person, and they're in this shared space for the first time physically outside of the pods. They're getting to know each other. That's fine. Be in that process. But
Right.
because you are engaged, you have, and this is the show that it is, which is a monogamous commitment. Be in this process and honor the commitment that you're making with the person that you're trying to explore things with right now. Because what is not part of the show, which of course it's become part of it, is to survey your options and basically test the waters with a person that you were previously talking to and that you were interested in. And now that they're here and you're seeing them, like, is there still a vibe between us? Which is exactly what the fuck he was doing. And he did it a number of times.
Yeah. And after Raven shot it down, which is like, why isn't that enough for you? Raven shot it down.
Right.
Which, okay, just gonna say that if someone says no, respect their no. Like, that should have been enough. And it really, when I look at this and I continue to analyze it, I'm like, the fact that he's still pursuing her after Raven shut it down the first time, it's like, no means no.
Yeah.
No means no.
Yeah.
Why is that? Hello, we've been here, done that.
Yeah.
Respect my no, please. Like how you would expect someone to respect your no. So that's like really icky for me too.
So it was a surprise to no one when we found out that Bartise had shown on his Instagram, like right after the show had wrapped. This is, mind you, this is probably a year before the show even aired. And after the show wraps, all of these cast members who all follow each other on Instagram, the general public don't know anything about these individuals, but they're following each other. And Bartise is partying with like a tall blonde, someone who is aforementionedly very much his type. And it was surprising to no one, because he's like, this is what that's his motive right now. And there's no judgment on the fact that he would want to be out dating, casual dating, playing the field, whatever. But it's just, don't get on the show, the reunion afterwards and try to come off as this like stand-up dude who can take responsibility for his actions and the part that he played in Nancy's relationship, when like you just kind of look full of like you're full of shit.
Yeah. I'm not quite sure of the truth, and I don't think anyone will be, but the accusation was that it was the following day, right after the whole Nancy Bartise split up happened, along with Bartise then asking Nancy if they could date post wedding, you know, even though they didn't get married. And then he's seen, you know, with this chick, and then he starts to say like nothing happened at first, not until July 4th. And he really starts to kind of like paint this timeline, but really it doesn't matter. Like, it's more about, why did you need to put it on social media? Can you have some care and consideration for how that impacts Nancy and what that makes you look like, you know? Like, it doesn't make you look good, bro. So yeah, that's that with Bartise and Nancy. I really just feel, looking back on it. And by the way, dude, if you're not wanting to be in a monogamous relationship where you propose to someone before you see them, go on Love Island, where you can test connections. Go on The Bachelor, Bachelorette. Like, go on a different show. Go on a different fucking show. Like, you don't need to be on Love is Blind. Yeah. And that makes me kind of come back to what Nancy says to him during the reunion. Like, you're 25. Are you really, really ready for marriage? And I don't think that that's all 25-year-olds. I just think that very much is Bartise in this moment.
Yeah.
You know?
Agreed.
So,
agreed. Yeah, you're right. He probably would have been a better fit for a lot of different shows.
Yeah.
If he was going to do it.
Yeah. It's like, why pick this one? Why pick this one?
Yeah.
Why pick this one?
Yeah.
Like,
why pick this one?
Yeah, like there's so many reality shows where you can go, and And
also,
this
like,
was
he
not
needed
it.
to let go. He needed to let go of like the Raven vision because it was never going to be Raven. Like, yes, they were vibing initially, but the minute that Bartice told Raven, like, hey, I think that I need to pursue this other connection. And it bothered me when you were doing jumping jacks when I was telling you about my family and my life. Like, she already was like, this is such good timing because the connection that I have with someone else is a better fit for
Better.
me.
So
It
all
was
good.
never going to be Raven Bartice.
No,
Ever.
he just wanted
Not
to
even if you had decided
get
that
it
you wanted
in
her.
with Raven. Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, I'm in a weird sticky place. I'm in a weird sticky place with men right now. I'm trying not to generalize. I'm leaving room for you all to be a variety of lots of different ranges and feelings and whatever the fuck I'm trying to say. But y'all really need some help. Just like a little help. Just like a little help.
Yeah. Like sex is sex. Like I think so many people underestimate what. I know that's not where my mind is still on Bartice wanting to fuck Raven. But not being conscious of that is what I'm trying to say. I think so many men are like, this is the person for me. And it's like, you're just horny. This isn't the person for you.
Horny.
You're just fucking horny. So it's like, can you grow some self-awareness to know the difference between I'm horny and I want to bang this person versus this is a sustainable relationship? Bartice doesn't have that awareness. If he did, this wouldn't have fallen out the way that it did.
True.
You know, he would have been able to recognize, like, I want to bang Raven, but what I have emotionally with Nancy is superior and long lasting. So it's like, because of that lack of awareness, yes, men definitely are the culprits for this, but people in general, it's like, fucking be aware. Know yourself. Know thyself.
Know thyself. Thank you. I wonder if like we'll ever get an episode where Tucker doesn't bark in the background. But I like to think that he did it in solidarity with your message.
Yeah.
He said, yeah.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
that was what he meant.
Exactly. I feel it. Thanks for the support, Tucker.
Yeah. I'm with you. So that's what we're left with. And that was our Love is Blind season 3 reunion experience.
What are we going to ditch?
Yeah. We didn't get a chance to do that last week, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I just ran off and I said, this is how you can follow us. Get in touch with us. Bye.
That's okay.
What are we ditching? We're ditching telling the bartender that they can make it work with their new girlfriend, their old new girlfriend. You know, we should stop doing that. We're ditching that. You don't need to support people.
Wish you all the best.
Self-conserve. Yeah. Just get out of there. Just be like, wow, that's so interesting. Can you help me close out? No, I'm joking. What are we ditching for real? Listen, what I'm going to say in all transparency is what I really want to ditch for myself and what I want to ditch for everyone else is like my challenges with my body and my relationship with my body. It is not the issues that I have are not my fault, but they are my responsibility. It's my responsibility to decide how I want to take care of myself. And by that, I mean, live in my fucking fullness.
Yes.
And when people, if someone is going to even haphazardly make a comment about when I'm eating or like where my appetite is at that day, I get to set boundaries. I get to like see if there's room for me to explore like why I didn't like what they just said and how I need a different kind of approach in the future. But like I am totally ditching that someone else is responsible for my experience when it was not a deliberate attempt on their part. In some cases that very well is the case. Yeah. But I hope I'm making sense.
You are. You are. And I appreciate you saying that because it's very true. Okay. I'm going to chime in there with, we are ditching the fear of communicating our emotions to our partners. We got to ditch that. Being emotionally available begins with you being emotionally available to yourself, which means these are the emotions I'm experiencing. I'm not going to shame myself for having those emotions. I'm going to sit with these emotions. I'm going to process these emotions. I'm going to honor these emotions. And additionally, when you're then in a relationship with someone, that means communicating, hey, hun, babe, whatever you want to call them, insert endearing terminology here. I'm feeling really sad today. And because I'm feeling sad, I'm going to go take care of myself. I'm going to go out and do my own thing. I'll be home at this time. I'll see you then. And we'll have a date night. Or if I was Nancy, Zanab. Hey, hun. Zanab. Thank you. Her name. Hun. Because of wedding season and all of the things that go into planning a wedding, I'm feeling really insecure about my body and how I fit into my wedding dress. And sometimes when you make comments about having an appetite for dinner later, my mind goes to, oh my God, does he feel that I'm overweight? And that makes me feel really insecure and uncomfortable. And I'm assuming you're not doing that on purpose. I need to communicate this with you so that we can figure out a better way to talk about meals in this household. Beautiful. Love you so much. But do not ask me if I'm having both of these cuties when I've just grabbed two out of the bag, because damn straight I'm going to have both these cuties.
That's fucking right. What a gorgeous example. Thank you so much. Genuinely. It was really good.
Yeah, if I could just get her name right, you know.
I honestly, the buildup, like, it made the whole thing.
That's it.
Absolutely.
Did we see any green flags? SK and Raven. They're always SK a green flag.
Raven. Yeah, they're still like true in their individualism. They talk about receptive energy.
I just think they communicate really well. Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't assume that the other person is coming from a malicious place, and they are very comfortable with themselves as individual, which lends to their intimacy in their relationship. So I'm just really proud of them. Snaps for
you know
Raven
what my green
SK.
flag is? My green flag is you being a provider in the mental health and relationship sphere and still being a human being.
Oh, thanks.
Which means you're allowed to fuck up.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Oh, I fuck up all the time.
Welcome. Yeah. Ditto.
Thank you. I really needed that. That actually really gave me the warm and fuzzies. Thank you.
Aww, I live to give warm and fuzzies. That's so cute.
You. I appreciate you. Okay.
Let's start. Listen, wait, before we sign off. But in the future, like, cause listen, folks, we're about to embark on a Bachelor Nation experience. Again. Yeah. We're going to cover Zach, and we're going to do it with smiles on our faces. If we are in a position in which we are lost for words for a green flag, or like your cheeks,
I'm okay.
Are you premeditatively like massaging your cheeks?
Yeah, my jaw, because that smile was a little intense.
A little too much. Forced. If we are lost for words to identify a green flag, let's give it to each other. Let's find a way to give it to each other.
I'm down. I give you a green flag for being here today.
Oh my God, thank you. I needed that, actually.
Yeah.
I didn't know if we were going to make it. Listen.
Me neither.
The biggest red flag goes to Riverside. Riverside, you have earned the infinite red flags. Please don't ever do that again. Please don't ever do that again. I swear.
Yeah.
I will come over there. I know your mother's house. I know her address. Anyway,
we will send an email.
I will send a strongly worded email with punctuation. Don't ever fucking do that again. Okay. You can follow us and find us on Instagram and TikTok, TikTok, at Ditch the Script Pod. You can go to our website, ask us questions. and apply for a 30-minute free mini session. Hello, how are ya? Let's see how you're doing at ditchthescriptpod.com/podcast. And rate and review our freaking show, our freaking and frackity show.
Yeah. We love to hear it and see it and know that you are listening and enjoying. I mean, or maybe not. That's fine too.
Yeah.
We love you.
Feelings are valid. Love you.
Feelings
Goodbye.
are valid. Goodbye. I need to hit
Bye.
stop.